Hello everyone, this is Ken Quigley from Keystroke, and I'm very excited today to demo a very new product that we're distributing to our Orange Care customers. I'll get into more of that later. I notice that we've got a number of ACT consultants on here as well. If you're an ACT consultant and you've worked with us in the past, please email us. We're happy to provide you an NFR with this. Okay, so let's get started. So the I would say it was about a week ago. We did an internal demo on this and then published a blog here. I'm not going to go through the details of the blog, but if afterwards you want to read a little bit more about it, you can click on blog and you can read making your campaign results actionable. And that was really the impetus behind this, is because we are heavy users of AMA, and we really wanted to get more out of it. Okay, so let's get started. If you do any kind of e-marketing, like I said, like we do for our business, you'll understand there is a point when the campaign ends and you have to wait. Okay, now if you've ever done it, then you understand this point. You're waiting for the phone to ring, you're waiting for the website traffic or online transactions, or having people register for an event, or any sign that your audience has engaged with your campaign. This waiting represents what I describe as the inevitable transition from digital marketing interactions to analog sales follow-ups, which can often be both painful and quiet. Unfortunately, the campaign results that you get from AMA don't help much from this. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up my ACT here and clear this. We'll go into AMA, and what we're going to do is we're actually, in the course of this webinar, we're going to focus on the KCD campaign that actually brought you here. Okay, so here's the campaign. So I'm going to go into this campaign, and I'm going to click on Campaign Dashboard. Now I'm going to see two types of results. Okay, one is the high level stats on sends and bounces. None of these are actionable. I can look at these and say, okay, it's great. I had a certain open rate, a certain delivery rate, or a certain unsubscribe rate. All of these are fine, but they're not actionable. And what I mean by that, I can't take these stats and really do much with them. Okay, so that's what I mean by actionable. You can see that this included 2 emails, and you can see the individual click-through results here. And there are 100 items, 10 pages. You would lose your mind going through all of these. So what they do is they give you the option to export the data. So what I've done is I've already done that. Normally the emails aren't quite so grayed out, but I'm trying to protect people's privacy. But you can see here that these stats are not contact centric. They are transaction centric. And what I mean by that is you may get the same contact displayed here 10, 20, 30 times based on how many times they engage with the transaction, because it's breaking down each line into transaction. This is a click, this is a click, this is delivered. So it's very hard to reconcile someone's overall engagement, okay, without individually going through and let's say I'm going to filter this column, show me only clicks, and I can filter by that. And then I've got to go through and sift this. I don't have any contact names. I don't have any contact companies. This is really rather obscure, but more importantly, I can't tell um, if anyone has engaged more than once, or if they've done anything else, like how many opens did they have versus their clicks. So I have to keep toggling back and forth between the views. And even if I'm able to find, and after a lot of filtering and a lot of selecting, I'm able to find a bunch of contacts that I deem have engaged really well, what do I do with that data? Okay, do I look them up individually and ACT and schedule? It would become so burdensome and such a tough task that people just aren't going to do it. Okay, so this is something that we quickly realized was limiting for us and would of course be limiting to our customers. Okay, so pivoting back here. So we came up with this tool called the Keystroke Campaign Dashboard to really solve this problem. Okay, because none of the spreadsheet results, none of the campaign dash statistics were actionable, which means when the campaign was over, I was still left to wait. Okay, so as I said, I use AMA extensively and I'm not particularly good at waiting. So we set to build something bigger. We wanted to build a tool that you can instantly analyze your campaign data in a contact-centric way, not transaction-centric, but a contact-centric way so you can understand who is the most engaged with your marketing and quickly pass those leads on to sales. Okay? And develop a tool that allows you to see the contacts most engaged with all your campaigns, not just particular ones. So you can actually get an aggregate view, which is what we called it, to determine your hottest overall prospects. A tool that instantly refreshes the campaign data with a single mouse click. You notice that spreadsheet. That spreadsheet was a one-time snapshot that exported. If I wanted to get updated campaign stats, I'd have to go back in, export the data, wait for the spreadsheet to arrive, and then go in and do all that filtering again to determine, the list of data that I really couldn't do much with. Okay, so we wanted something that allowed us to, not just do a one-time snapshot, but constantly refresh it. Okay, and then a tool that allowed you to rank contact engagement with one campaign, with one or more campaigns. So you can actually see if you're someone like us that, we have a number of campaigns that are to different markets based on different products. We want to learn based on the results. So we want to compare how one campaign does in terms of engagements, clicks through, things like that. So we can see what's working and what isn't and adapt accordingly. Okay. And then what if you can analyze the campaign results, one another, as I said, to understand what messaging is working. Okay. So we wanted to eliminate the waiting and provide the tools to act. Okay. Which is why we developed the Keystroke campaign dashboard. So the Keystroke campaign dashboard is a Windows application. You install it and it creates a little icon up here. Okay, so the first thing to understand is it only works with the Windows version of Act. And the reason is that the API endpoints for Act Premium Cloud or Act Advantage do not support the harvesting of this much data. I'm not going to bore you with why, but the way it's structured, which is very contact centric, we'd have to go through each and every contact sequentially to aggregate the data, and that would be prohibitive bandwidth wise, processing wise, everywise. Okay, so that's why we developed this tool. Okay, so when you first launch KCD here, gonna pop up, you get this quick menu. Okay, now I've already set the results to be at current year. If you're someone like me doing a lot of AMA, do not set it to all dates. You could wait 10, 15 minutes for the data to load. And typically it's not relevant data because who cares about campaign stats from last year, year before. Okay, but that is an option if you're prepared to wait. Select all the groups. Now you'll see down here that it has clicks and bounces. And what we've done is we've created our own weighting system so that what we've done is we've put 10 times the weight on clicks versus opens. Now you're not married to 10 versus 1 or anything else. You can dial it up, dial it down. And on the ranking that I'll show you shortly, you're going to see how that displays based on the stats that we're getting. Okay. And then finally, just because a lot of us aren't as young as we'd like to think, we added the grid font so that if our tired aging eyes needs bigger displays, that is now supported. Okay, I'm going to keep it at 8, just again to kind of respect the privacy of everyone, so that because this will display some people's contact names, I don't want to be jumping off the page. Okay, so with that, what's important to understand is all of these are sticky. So the next time you launch it, whatever your selections are, these will load again. So you're not going to have to reset it every time. So once all that's done, I click on select, and now it's loading the campaign data results from the campaign results table. Okay, there is a table within the campaign or within Act. It's a custom table calculating all those stats. Okay, and I'm just going to maximize it. Okay, and now we're going to, and it displays in 3 different views. Campaign view, which is grayed out because that's the default display. Aggregate view, and stats view. And I'll explain each of them as we go. But we're going to start with the default view of campaign view. Now, this first view that loads in campaign view shows all the columns for all the stats and all the campaigns that you've selected. This screen allows you to filter by almost any column. So one of the first things I'm going to do for the purposes of this demo is I'm going to select sent, and I'm going to select this month. Okay, and then I'm going to select the KCD campaign. So now I've filtered out all the results of everything but the KCD campaign. Now let's take a look. I've got the company name, I've got the contact name, which I didn't have in the previous spreadsheet view. I've got the email address. Let's bring this over here. I can see the campaign. I can see the clicks, I can see the opens, I can see the open date, bounces, the record manager, which is obviously me, the sent date, the click date, unsubscribe, and complain. So you're going to find that all of these tools are really quite useful, okay, as you're using them, okay? So we've completed the filtering. Now, let's say that you are going to be monitoring the performance of this campaign. Let's say it's an ongoing one and you don't want to have to go through that, multiple clicks and filtering. What you can do is just click on here. We'll call this the KCD campaign. And now it's going to be available for you to select. So if I was to go in here, here's my um, filter editor. I'll just click all of these, clear it out, go back, and it applies the filter again. So really, really easy for going back and managing stuff with optimal configurations, but without optimal repetitive labor. Okay, so um, let's take a look at what we can do with this data. We are seeing the scoring based on the weighting system that we put in here. Okay, now you're going to see there's a couple of people that are in here twice. This was an email campaign that actually had 2 drips. So what we did is we noticed this error in the last 24 hours, and we're actually going to make an update today that will aggregate this and provide only unique values. Okay. If you've ever used Excel excessive, in any kind of advanced way, there is a way of filtering by only unique values, but it doesn't aggregate it. So this is something that we want to make sure that this top user actually displays 32 clicks for each of the emails. You can see here's the one opened on the, well, this one was sent on the 6th and sent on the 8th. So that was precisely the dates of the campaign. Okay, so I said that this was about making the data actionable. So let's talk about what that means. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to see these color rankings. Now, the first thing you're going to say, okay, what's the difference between, green and light green? Well, basically what we've done is we've taken the stats and we've divided them into different 20% blocks. So if you're curious to see, what the total stats are, you can just right click here, say count, and it's going to show you how many people are involved in this campaign, which is now 1,549. Okay, now that, of course, that's including the duplicates up here, but we're going to fix that. So the next thing is to make it actionable. Okay, one of the weaknesses of the spreadsheet is how do I take spreadsheet data and convert it into a lookup? Well, let's say that I want to create a quick follow-up campaign that includes everyone in the highest ranking here. What I can do is I can just select this, drag down. I could also cherry pick, okay? And then I can say lookup selected, okay? Now if I go back to Act, I've got those people selected, okay? And if I want to just do a quick campaign, I just select them all, click on call, type in follow up, and then down here, just click on create activity for each contact. And what that will do is it will create one activity and make it assigned individually to each and every one of the contacts there. That's how easy it is. That's what I talk about actionable. Okay, so you can take these people, create quick follow-ups, assign them to a particular person. I'm generally picking on Vic, so I'll assign it to Vic, and boom, he's got 17 new calls scheduled for him without having to do anything. Okay, now I may just want to create a group on these contacts, so I'll just simply go here, add contacts to group. Obviously, I'd create the group in advance, and then boom, we've got something that maybe a pool of people can focus on. But the point of this is just to show you how easy we went from campaign results to sales follow-up. That transition from digital touches to analog sales follow-ups is incredibly easy. And with ACT and KCD, it's hand in glove. Okay. Now let's talk about go here. Let's talk about not just sales, but let's talk about list maintenance. Okay, so I'm going to clear, let's say clear these selections here. Okay, I just clicked on this box, selected everything, deselected everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm concerned about the people in my database that bounced, and I want to, go back and see, who I need to follow up with. So I'm going to select bounce. Okay, here, look up selected. And now I've got these people. Okay, so I can now follow up with each one of these people, quick phone calls, and just say, I noticed your email bounced. Is anything changes, whichever, and I can have sustained email access to them. Okay, same thing here. If I was to, let's say, clear this, clear filter, if I want to go to the unsubscribes, same thing. I can look up the people unsubscribed, just select them, look them up, and do a quick call to just see if there was anything that bothered them, whichever. But it's giving me actionable data, which is the point. And I didn't have that before because it involved too much work to pivot back and forth between spreadsheets, create lookups that weren't intuitive or weren't easily available, or would require people to go through contact lookups one at a time, which quite frankly isn't going to be done. Okay. So the final thing on the contact view, okay, and by the way, if you were to look up, let's say here, may as well give a free prop for one of the new features of Act Advantage. If I was to select this and take these people, put them in a group, I can use the link to list feature built into Act Advantage to scan them and see if the emails are actually valid. So I might get updated results. Okay, it may have just been a one-off email server block. Who knows? Okay, but this allows us to very, very quickly put this through an efficient verification system that thankfully is now integrated right in with Act Advantage. Okay. The last thing of the campaign view was the difference between this and the spreadsheet. Okay. So I have now worked on this. I've kept this view open for a couple of days, and then I want to see what updates there are. So unlike the spreadsheet, I can click on refresh data, and it's going to call out to the campaign results in my database again, and it's going to update all the results. Now, the first thing is you saw the filter blow up. Okay, the filters will automatically get cleared once you're doing a refresh. Okay, and then you can go through, and if you wanted, okay, none, and then see if this, yeah, so they just had to click on none. There wasn't an easy toggle out, and then you can get these results back. Now, if you're like me and you're using a remote database, like a subscribing database, keep in mind that this is pulling from the local database. So if you have not synced your database in a couple of days, there will not be any new results. So you will have to sync your database first to get the most up-to-date results, because the campaign results table is local. Okay, so it's not going to pull from the server in any way. So just be mindful of that. If you're looking for the most updated results, do a quick sync on your database, and then do a refresh and you'll get the aggregate results. Okay, speaking of aggregate, let's go to the aggregate view, which is over here. Now, what's the aggregate view? The aggregate view means it's not campaign specific. It's 100% about the contact. Across all my campaigns, who is the most engaged with mine? Okay, so I can see the amount of clicks, I can see the amount of opens, and I can see here, I'm going to say, okay, I've got quite a few people that are really crazy engaged with my campaigns. I'm going to do a quick lookup. I don't care what campaign it is. And I've now got these people ready to call them. Okay. So we created the aggregate view just because sometimes you're going to need a global view of the overall scoring independent of a particular campaign. And this provides that. Okay. So it's similar to campaign view. You can, do things like count. Okay. See the total clicks. You can go through here. If you wanted to see how many people actually clicked on it, you can do a sum. Okay, you have to stretch this column to actually display it. Okay, so you can see there's 28,000. Okay, so these are all statistics that are really cool. But if you wanted to actually see only the people that clicked on it more than 100 times, watch this. Click here, set 100. And you can filter it that way. That's the beauty of all of this column head filtering, is that it allows you to really, really narrow down and view only the data that you want. Okay. So let me just check my notes here. So both the campaign and aggregate allows you to export these results to Excel. Okay. The problem is that most of these that have contacts, we are going to want to look them up in ACT. We don't care about exporting them to Excel because we want to pivot back to where we're going to action the follow-ups, which is going to be our CRM. However, there is a third view that is really important for exporting. Okay, and let's go to Stats View. Now the Stats View is your view of all of the campaigns and their comparative percentage in terms of sends and opens and open percentage and clicks. So we do all the math for you in terms of open percentages and click percentages and things like this. And so you can actually look, it's great to see, okay, our newsletter went out to 19,000 people. Well, that's going to have more opens and more clicks and everything. But what's the relative open rate? Well, it's still 20%. Okay. So if I wanted to say, okay, this is high, but it's being ranked based on this, I can sit there and say open percentage. What is my most successful? Now I can see a few, a few test ones that Shannon has done. We're going to disregard those, but take a look at this one. I sent out a link to list reseller webinar, sent it out to 30 people. I had 27 opens and a 71% open rate. Okay, that's crazy, and a 21% click percentage. So I can actually then know that. Let me drill into that and see what lessons I can learn from that in terms of the messaging, the calls to action, whichever, because clearly that worked pretty well. Okay. I could also see that when I did the Act Advantage webinar last month on the 24th, I sent this out to 148 people and I had 96. So that to me is a really, really keen campaign. So people were following up on that, and we had a 65% open rate and a 48% click-through rate. So that to me says that whatever we're doing in terms of the Act Advantage marketing and messaging is really working. Okay, so that's what we really like. And then if we wanted to say, okay, let's go by scores here, and let's say I wanted to filter by, let's just look at campaigns of 1,000 or more. I can filter those out, and then some of Shannon's tests, and that doesn't get cluttered up here. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that we really, really like all the column filters, having the stats all displayed in one page, allowing you to view them from the campaign view including contacts, the aggregate view, including only contacts, and including stats view. Now, I talked about exporting to Excel. The exporting to Excel, I'm just going to clear my filters down here. Now, this is something that really lends itself to exporting to Excel. So if I'm the contact manager, or the marketing manager, or if I'm the one managing a lot of these e-marketings, and I'm accountable to my boss, I'm accountable to, say, a third-party marketing firm, whichever, I can now export these results and say stats view. Okay. And I'm going to have the same color coding. I'm going to have the same everything, and I can send this off to them. So Bud Rice, if you are working with a customer on this, and you're managing, let's say, an RDB, and you're doing some of their campaigning, you can actually do the results and send them over and say, see, I'm doing a good job for you. Okay, so this is a really, really powerful tool, which is why we're making sure that all our ACC peers get an NFR copy. Okay. So this comes with a 2-week free trial. Okay. One of the other things that I want to mention is, as you could see here, you've got the act data, but you also have the campaign data. Now, this is not a modal, so it will actually allow you to operate your act data while this is showing up in the forefront. So, we designed Keystroke Dash in a similar type way. So it pops up, but allows you to keep working on the act data as well. Okay, so I am going to pivot over to I'm going to just enable the mics. Okay, and let me just pause before we go into the entitlement and distribution in a second. Let's see, I've opened up the mics if there's any questions.
What's the stats view?
So the stats view is what we're on right now, and this is showing no contact information, but it's showing all the comparative statistics from your campaigns. So you will be able to view globally how your campaigns have performed and compare them. So you're able to then, from a marketing management standpoint, ascertain what's working and what isn't. And that's why we've added in the open percentages and the click percentages, so you can sort by those columns as well. So if I only care about clicks, I may want to just click by this and say, okay, these are my most successful campaigns. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? I can't believe I'm not being heckled by a Robillard, so that means they mustn't have made it. Bud, anything from you? Bud's fallen down or trapped under something heavy. I'm sure he will send me an email separately. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about how you get this. Okay, so the first thing is, what does it cost? It costs nothing. It is free to all of our Orange Care subscribers. If you're not an Orange Care subscriber, you can't buy it from us. Okay, this is a free entitlement. We are not looking to make money off of this. We want to improve the customer's marketing experience. Okay, so you'll see details on this. Now, if you're a current Orange Care subscriber, you can retrieve it from another website that we manage, which also provides free Orange Care treats, if you will. Okay, and that is dayminder.com. So day-minder.com. Now, if you have not heard of this before, this is a real cool service that we set up. It's an online service. You just register. It allows you to check to see if you're an Orange Care subscriber or an active Orange Care subscriber, and then you register. And then what will happen is you will get an email every single morning, okay, giving you a breakdown of your daily activities. So I had an 11 a.m. developer meeting. I had my regular training at 1 o'clock today, which I've replaced with this, so I can see all the people that registered for this. I can see that I've got no timeless tasks. And this was funny. Actually, one of one of our better customers, I found out it was his birthday today, and I sent him an email this morning wishing him happy birthday. So this literally made sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay, we exchanged a couple of fun emails, and he'll get he'll get the recording of this webinar on Monday. He'll watch it and see that he's been called out. You can see here that any expiring opportunities. And the last thing is a nice little quote that we put at the bottom of the day. It changes every single day. And this one is, it's never too late to be what you might have been. Okay. So that's what it delivers. And again, it's free, so I'm not selling it. Okay. So all you got to do is sign up, and I'm going to log in as Chris Huffman, which is what I did originally. And I configured it with my user information and then never bothered to change it. Okay, so now here is where, if I'm an Orange Care user, I can grab the contract key and pass it off to my other users so they can log in and get Dayminder or get the campaign dashboard as well. Okay, but let's see how we get your license. You click on here. Okay, now you'll see here that it says, my Act sub, it says my Act for Outlook, and now these were just tests. So now I want to generate a license. Okay, and boom, I've got my license. Okay, copy it, register it, and we're going to add the download. To download the software, please go to the download page. Okay, and you can just scroll down to where it says Campaign Dashboard, and download and install it. Make sure Act is closed, because it is a plugin, so it won't install if Act is closed. But download it, install it, register it with the key, and then when you come back in, you're going to see the keystroke display campaign results icon here. Okay, so let's just do a quick review. What happens? I'm going to log out. So you're looking at this for the first time. You're going to click on register as a new user. It says enter support contract key. Well, what the heck is that? I don't know what that is. So I'm going to click on here. Don't have your Orange Care contract key. Click here, enter in your email. Now you have to be the primary contact for us for your account. Okay. So if I put in my email address, it would send me an email with my contract key, and then I can just go back here, register as a new user, enter in my key, my email, create my own password, register, and then I have access to my information because it's reading it live from our ACT database. Pretty cool. So I love this tool. I can tell you that I'm analyzing it every single day because we've had a lot of campaigns running since the launch of Act Advantage. Even this campaign, just to kind of see who was, passively interested in this particular product but didn't actually register, I can send a follow-up to them. All of that translates into, a higher conversion rate and great customer service. Two pretty good things in exchange for free. Okay, and because we believe um, the Orange Care support plans provide the best ACT experience, we are trying to improve it. So you get, with Orange Care, you get ACT for Mail free, which is our advanced Outlook integration that works with hosted databases and on-premise versions of Outlook. You get Dayminder, and now you get the Keystroke campaign dashboard. So I'm going to wrap up and see if there's any more questions.
Can you check in the chat, Ken? I'm not sure if there's something there or not.
I don't see anything in the chat. So pretty good with that. It's a Friday. I'm happy to let everyone go. We wrapped up 34 minutes. Vic, this has been an amazing, almost groundbreaking week for me on brevity. So I'm going to continue that trend right into the weekend and bid you all adieu. And thank you for joining me. And I hope that this was of value. Be sure to sign up here and get your license of the Keystroke Compact campaign dashboard. Thank you very much.